Hey guys, how's it going? Today's vlog is going to be about friendships. So basically, being from Belgium and having lived in America for a couple of years, I've realized that there's a big difference between friendships that are made during childhood versus friendships that are made during the workplace versus friendships that are made during college and I don't know. There's a big difference between, how can I say? Well, I've noticed that being in LA, as opposed to being in Belgium, where everything is pretty close to each other, friendships between people are different. We'll say, just because it takes a lot more effort in order to actually keep those friendships alive. In Belgium, you would basically be able to see somebody. You just call them and say, hey, here we go, let's meet up. And it's only like maybe 20-minute metro ride or 20-minute walk, and then you'd be able to see them. Whereas here in California, especially in LA, with all this traffic and craziness, you realize that if you want to go see someone, well, you really have to drive a long time. It could take an hour, or it could take 45 minutes, or even 2 hours sometimes. And it's a little crazy. It's a little overwhelming sometimes. So that's what I've noticed, especially in LA, is that in order to stay friends with people, you really have to make a lot of effort. And I've also noticed that there's a big difference too between the friendships that are made during childhood versus the friendships that are made later on in adulthood. And especially being in my 30s, I feel like new friendships are hard to come by because people, as they age, I guess, get more set in their ways in some way. They're less open to meeting new people. They're more focused on their careers or on their family, and with time you're also not in places such as college where you are exposed to a lot of different people and are allowed to explore and make new friendships, because basically you don't have a job to go to because you're at university, So I thought that's very interesting. And I also think it's maybe like a lot of people don't really think about it, but it's important. It's really important to have these friendships in order to keep yourself sane. Otherwise, a lot of people are just going to be alone. Especially nowadays, I feel, and being in LA, I'll say that one thing that has changed a lot for me is that people are often crazy about their careers. So what happens is that they don't really want to give that time to make that friendship, if that makes sense. And I know I'm saying a lot friendship, but basically I'm trying to repeat that because I think a lot of people end up being alone. I've noticed that one thing that is a big difference for me between Europe and the US is that I've been able to make a couple of close friends, but then I see them and I think, whoa, wait, that's strange. They don't actually have friends from their childhood. I think that stems from the fact that a lot of people are born in one state, and then they're going to go to college somewhere else, and maybe they might even stay in that state where they were studying, and they don't really keep in touch anymore. And even though we have all this social media and stuff like that, like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and whatever, there's so many ways to keep in touch, even email, old school way. But the problem with that is that even though we have access to all this social media and this internet and this communication way, we actually don't really communicate with people as much, because we might look at what they're doing on their daily life thanks to their Facebook feed, but we don't really look at what's really, we look at them as if they're like somebody on a TV show, but we're not going to look at them and actually talk to them, if that makes sense. So I think there's a big difference between keeping up with people through the internet, as opposed to actually making an effort and calling them and seeing how they're doing. And I think that's important because in the end, like for myself, I'm not married, I don't have kids, and I also have a very small family. I only have really my mom and a couple cousins and stuff in Italy, but the only person I really keep in touch with from my family is my mom, so there's nobody else. So being an immigrant here in LA with no family, if you don't have a circle of friends, then you're going to kind of be alone, and you're going to go insane. And that's not good, because sometimes you do need someone to listen to you about your problems, and you do need someone to talk to and someone to do fun stuff with. And also being in the arts, one big misconception is that I think a lot of people see all these fun and games that are being shown on television, final products of short films and movies, and I don't know, maybe people think that being in Hollywood is the dream, but at the same time, the harsh reality is that, once again, with all these distances and all this driving and people having, I think especially in the US as opposed to Europe, people in Europe will have their Sundays off because shops close on Sundays. It's Sunday, they go to church, and they usually have a more like 9 to 5 schedule, a more normal schedule. Some people might work in the evening if they're working in a restaurant or something like that. But I'll say in general, like 80-90% of people in Europe will work a regular 9 to 5. Then after that, they go see their family, they go spend time with their family, and then they start over the next day. And they usually get the Saturday and Sunday off, and especially the Sunday, because everything's closed. As opposed to America and probably some other countries where work is king, and people don't take more than 2 weeks, 10 days vacation per year, and where people have different schedules all the time, and people work in the morning, some people work in the evening, some people work on the weekend. So being able to coordinate with friends and meeting them is very difficult, and that's also even worse when they live far and you have to drive an hour each way to see them, and fighting traffic and all that stuff. So anyways, my point is basically, no matter what you're doing, no matter how busy you are with your work, it's important. It's important to keep up with friends and not think so much about material stuff in some way, and just really try to get memories with these people, because life is shorter than what people think in some way. It really is. And friends are the same as family. You don't have to be blood related in order to have these pillars. So to all the friends out there, I say, keep on being friends and keep on being happy and keep on supporting each other. Be human, Okay, talk to you later. Bye.